What's up, people? It's your boy, Chris the Analyst Ventura here, bringing you a new segment, part of Bridgeside Sports. It's called Fantasy Rundown with the Analyst, and we're going to go over all things fantasy for about 20 minutes. Each week, I'm going to prepare you for fantasy football because obviously that's what's hot right now. That's what's coming up. Got about 2 or 3 weeks before the season starts, and I want to get you guys prepared. I want you to get ready to kill it and make some money this year. So do I. And then during the season, we'll go over things as well. DFS, daily, all that. So starting off today, I want to go over wide receivers. And, obviously we know you guys that play fantasy football out there. If you're new to fantasy football, I would say the wide receivers and the running backs, especially if you play in a point per reception league, are the most important positions. Those are the skill positions. They're going to get you the most points. Those are the guys you want to take early because everybody's going to take them early. So it's all based on how the draft goes. And, I was looking it over. Obviously, you got Antonio Brown as your wide receiver 1. Odell Beckham, Julio Jones. Those are the top 3 to me. I'm a huge Julio Jones fan. Those of you who know me know I love him. So I'm going to be trying to take him even before Odell. But you can't go wrong. Antonio Brown, Odell Beckham, Julio Jones. Those are the big 3. They're going in the first round. Probably top 6, top 5 probably. And, there's not really much to say about them. They're the 3 best receivers. There's really nothing. There's no questions about it. The only thing you have to worry about maybe Julio Jones. He does get injured. He's always got foot problems. He could miss a couple of games this year, so that's why I would maybe rank him a little bit below Antonio and Odell. But when he plays, he could get you 40, 50 points in a PPR league. We'll go over PPR and standard because a lot of people play standard as well. Then you got your next tier of wide receivers. Now, this is where it gets a little tricky. Like in my draft, I'm going to have the 11th pick in my main league. Those 3 big receivers are going to be gone. And then you got a tier with, to me, Mike Evans is number 4. On Tampa Bay, A.J. Green on Cincinnati, Jordy Nelson, Michael Thomas. Those 4 are the next 4 big wide receivers that I put in the next tier for me. I'd say Mike Evans first. I said A.J. Green, but I would go I like Michael Thomas, Jordy Nelson almost, evenly. I like them both about the same. Michael Thomas on New Orleans. Now, Brandon Cooks used to be the wide receiver 1 for New Orleans, for the Saints. Now he's in New England. He's another guy I really like as a wide receiver 1. But now that Cooks is gone, last year, Michael Thomas as a rookie, had an Odell Beckham-esque year in his rookie year. He had 92 catches. He had over 1,100 yards receiving and 9 touchdowns for a rookie. With all those weapons there. You had Willie Snead still there. You had Colby Fleener was the tight end there. He's going to be there again, obviously, this year. But with Cooks gone, he should get at least 30 to 40 more targets. I think that's one of the safest, highest upside guys you can get as a wide receiver. I would get him in the late first, early second round. And I like him better than, honestly, A.J. Green. I might take Jordy above Michael Thomas because, Aaron Rodgers is the quarterback. Jordy's pretty safe. He was hurt 2 years ago. Last year he went off. He put up double-digit touchdowns. You can't go wrong with Jordy either, but he's a little bit on the older side. Michael Thomas is young, so I like the upside of Michael Thomas a little better, but you can't go wrong either way. Then I would say A.J. Green. Guy's always a monster, another safe pick. I think going receivers in early on, especially when there's about 2 to 4 or 5 running backs that I would take in the first round. I'll bring up those running backs real quick. You got David Johnson, Le'Veon Bell, the 2 big ones. They'll probably go first and second in drafts mostly, PPR, standard or otherwise. Then you got, to me, Devonta Freeman on Atlanta. I know he had something in preseason where he had a concussion, but supposedly he's coming out of the protocol. He should be fine. He's safe pick. He's been doing it for a couple of years now. And then you got LaShawn McCoy, then Melvin Gordon, and DeMarco Murray on the Tennessee Titans. Those are the 6, but honestly, I think after Freeman and McCoy, after those 4, these receivers are just safer. This is why I'm doing receivers first. these receivers are just really safe. They do it every year. A.J. Green does it every year. He missed some games last year. I think he only played in 10 games last year, but he still put up big numbers. If he does play even 15 games out of the 16, he will put up big numbers. If he plays most of your fantasy season, that's as safe as you can get, along with Jordy Nelson, Michael Thomas. As I said, Mike Evans is my wide receiver 4. Then going down the list. So we said Jordy, Michael Thomas, A.J. Green. So that's 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, this is where it drops off a little bit for the wide receivers at 8. Okay, and this is where you're talking early second round. I would say you can either go Dez Bryant. Dez Bryant's an option. Obviously, he gets hurt. He's older. He's an older, player at this point in his career. But he's the only weapon on that team in the receiving game. Ezekiel Elliott is going to be out the first 6 games, most likely due to that suspension, which we all heard. We brought it up on Bridgeside Sports this past week. He's a guy that could go off, especially those first 6 weeks without Zeke. They're obviously going to try to run the ball, but Dak Prescott in his second year now had a great first year. I do think he's going to regress a little bit, Dak Prescott. But, I mean, Dez is the guy there in Dallas. You got the other receivers are Terrence Williams, Cole Beasley. These are like complimentary guys that, you might take as late round flyers late in the draft, Cole Beasley, but Dez is going to get volume. Dez is going to get a lot of targets. He's a pretty good second round pick. You only have to worry about injury with him. His age is a problem, but he's a big guy. I wouldn't say he's a transformer. I have guys I call transformers. Julio Jones is in that category. Odell Beckham, Antonio Brown. Freakish athletes, freakishly big guys, freakishly fast guys. I call them transformers. I love those guys. Just like Megatron back in his day, Calvin Johnson. But Dez Bryant is a borderline guy like that, and he's a guy I would definitely target in the second round. I would say he's next. Then there's guys like T.Y. Hilton, Amari Cooper, DeAndre Hopkins, Demaryius Thomas, Terrell Pryor, Doug Baldwin, Devontae Adams, who I'm looking at right now actually at FantasyPros.com rankings. They have Devontae Adams at 18. I think he's higher than that. Devontae Adams is a really good wide receiver on Green Bay. Randall Cobb, I think, isn't going to be the guy we thought he once was going to be. I know people have been waiting for Randall Cobb. Randall Cobb had a poor year last year. Devontae Adams took over, had a lot of touchdowns. The guy is a good possession receiver. He isn't no transformer or a freak or anything like that, but he's on Green Bay. And you got to understand, when you have a great quarterback, these guys are going to go off. If you have a great quarterback and there's weapons around you and the team has a functioning, good offense that's very efficient, you're going to want those guys on your team. So, for instance, I'm going to give you a for instance right now. T.Y. Hilton. To me, I would put T.Y. Hilton above Dez Bryant in that second tier after those other wide receivers, those top 7 I mentioned. But Andrew Luck is hurt right now. We don't know if Andrew Luck is going to come back week 1. We don't know when he's going to come back. We don't know if he's going to be healthy. He hasn't played in preseason yet. There's no indications. It's all bad signs. If Andrew Luck plays, T.Y. Hilton is my number 8 wide receiver in these rankings. But you can't bank on that. If he's out, it's a completely different dynamic. Now you got the backup who might be Scott Tolzien or whoever it might be. The backup isn't going to do the same things that Luck can do for T.Y. Hilton and the Indianapolis Colts. But T.Y. Hilton is the guy there. You also got Dante Moncrief, who helps. You don't want receivers. This is what I want to tell you. You don't want receivers that are by themselves. They're the only guy on the offense, and they have nothing else. Because then teams are going to double cover them. Defenses are going to, key on them. It's going to be very hard for them to get open. And, you don't want that because then they're going to have down games. They're going to be very inconsistent. I think that's going to hurt your team. So a guy, for instance, like that is Allen Robinson. Allen Robinson is a great receiver. Talent-wise, he's up there with the top 15 wide receivers. He might even be better than that, top 10 possibly. But he's on a bad team offensively when it comes to efficiency. His quarterback, Blake Bortles, might even get cut. They're talking about letting Bortles go or benching him for Chad Henne to start the season. I mean, you can't trust that. Allen Robinson may not get the numbers you want. And his complementary receivers with him are Allen Hurns, Marcus Lee. These guys have some talent, but they're not key cogs in an offense. They're not, primary elite players. You want some complement to the receiver. That's why I like T.Y. Hilton if Luck is available. Because Dante Moncrief, another receiver I really like, somebody you can get in like the, fourth or fifth round maybe, depending on Luck's situation. You can get Moncrief later on. He's a touchdown machine. He's a beast. Not a transformer, but good compliment to T.Y. Hilton. T.Y. Hilton's the guy there. But now I'm going to drop him in my rankings. Until I know Andrew Luck is going to play, right now, after Dez Bryant, or actually with Dez Bryant, I really like Amari Cooper this year. Derek Carr, obviously, is a very good quarterback. He's developing nicely. Derek Carr is building a rapport with Amari Cooper over the years. Amari Cooper is only 23 years old. He's still so young, and he's already played 2 seasons in the NFL. I mean, guys, the potential for a breakout with this guy is really likely. I know a lot of people say, well, Michael Crabtree takes a lot of the red zone targets from Cooper. I think Cooper only had 5 or 6 touchdowns last year, which isn't enough to get it done as an elite wide receiver 1, but I think he makes the jump this year. Michael Crabtree's a little older now. He's been in the league for a while. He's not an elite talent. Crabtree's a good, solid number 2 possession guy, but Cooper is the guy there. And like I said before, he has his complimentary receiver, Michael Crabtree, to help him, to take away coverage from just him. Marshawn Lynch is there now, which I don't really like. I think Latavius Murray, if he would stay there, would have been better than Marshawn Lynch coming out of retirement. Lynch is probably going to they're going to run the ball with him and pound it up the middle with him as a complement to the passing game. But this team revolves around Derek Carr, Amari Cooper, Michael Crabtree. Amari Cooper being the elite primary target on this team. You cannot go wrong with that. You can't. The guy's going to take a jump. For me, Michael Thomas, Amari Cooper, 2 big-time upside receivers with safety because they've been doing it now. Thomas did it last year without Cooks, and Cooper did it for 2 years in a row. I think last year he had over 1,100 yards receiving. He had over 90 catches or, high 80s in catches. The guy's a lock. That's why I like these receivers in that late first round, in the second round, because the running backs tail off, and you still got really good receivers. To name off a few, before we end the segment, after Dez Bryant and Amari Cooper, like I said, T.Y. Hilton, where you want to drop him depends on what you want to do and what's going on with Andrew Luck. You got to monitor the situation. But guys like Devontae Adams on Green Bay because he's got Rodgers. Doug Baldwin with Russell Wilson, the only receiver on the team. Now, he doesn't really have too many compliments, but he's got Jimmy Graham. So he's got that big tight end, red zone in the middle target. Doug Baldwin's a very underrated, solid receiver every single year. That's a guy who could get you 10-plus touchdowns, 90-plus receptions, and 1,100, 1,200 yards. Solid as hell. These receivers in the second round that are going, don't be a fool and don't think that, let me take the risk on this big, running back because it's the sexy pick. No, Doug Baldwin is a great guy to take in the late second round. DeAndre Hopkins. Now, here's the thing. This is why I would put Baldwin and Adams maybe a little bit ahead of DeAndre Hopkins because DeAndre Hopkins, yes, to me, talent-wise, better receiving those guys. Pound for pound, he's up there with the Julios, Odell, Antonios. Maybe just a little bit lower than those guys, but he's elite talent level. He's just on the Houston Texans. And the quarterback situation, once again, could be a disaster. You got Tom Savage is probably going to start week 1. God knows how he'll do. He might, be out by week 2 or 3 and bring in Deshaun Watson, the draft pick that they got this year in the first round, the Texans, who I do like, but he doesn't have great arm strength. So you're taking a risk. There's a chance DeAndre Hopkins doesn't bounce back, even though a lot of people think he will. I don't know. I would take him, obviously. Maybe as a third-round pick, I would try to wait late second round because he's not as solid as you can say for these other receivers that have the complimentary wide receivers. DeAndre Hopkins doesn't really have those complimentary wide receivers anymore. He lost. Will Fuller's going to be out, who was a rookie last year, 6+ weeks. Braxton Miller, who's a work in progress. He used to be a quarterback in college. And, they really don't have much after that. TJ Fedorowicz is their tight end. He's okay. He's a decent tight end. And Lamar Miller's the running game. We don't know what's going to happen. It's very sketchy to take a guy like Hopkins above these receivers that could do really well. Brandon Cooks. That's another guy I want. Michael Thomas, Amari Cooper, Brandon Cooks. Big 3 receivers you could get early in the second round. Brandon Cooks maybe even the middle, late second round. I would take him over these guys as well. Over Hopkins, over Demaryius Thomas, over Allen Robinson. In the third round, you can get, or even in the fourth round maybe, he falls, Terrell Pryor, a guy who did great for the Browns last year, had over 1,000 yards receiving on the Browns. Now he's on the Washington Redskins, who are one of the pass-happiest teams in the league. They don't have a running back to speak of at the moment with Fat Rob. I mean, that guy's just not that good. I mean, they're going to throw the ball, and they got weapons galore. That's the only thing you got to worry about with Terrell Pryor. Weapons all over the place. They got Jamison Crowder, who's developed into a nice slot-type receiver. He's going to get targets. He's built a rapport with Kirk Cousins. Terrell Pryor still building that rapport with Kirk Cousins because it's his first year on the team. They also have Jordan Reed. I mean, that guy can't really stay healthy. He doesn't stay healthy, but he's there, and he's going to be a primary target when he's available. I mean, they got weapons. They even got this guy, Josh Doxson. Many of you guys might not have heard of him, but he was a first-round pick, 22nd overall pick, I believe, or 23rd overall last year for the Redskins. Got crazy speed. He's got the metrics to be a really good wide receiver, but we'll see. He was hurt all last year, so he didn't play. So they got weapons. I just think Terrell Pryor is going to be the guy in the red zone, the guy that they're going to target most of the time. Jordan Reed's bound to miss 3 or 4 games. Pryor's going to get targets. He's 6'6", he runs pretty fast for that size, and he's got good weight to him. This is a guy they're going to target in the red zone all day. Crowder's a little guy. Crowder's a slot guy. He's not going to get as many touchdowns. A lot of people are very high on Pryor. I'm high on Pryor, but I'm going to put him behind guys like Demaryius Thomas, DeAndre Hopkins, just because of the pedigree that they have. Allen Robinson, another receiver. Late first round, early second round pick last year, the guy. This year, going now possibly even the 3rd, 4th, or 5th rounds because of the situation at quarterback. That team's a mess. I kind of want to stay away from all the guys on that team, even Leonard Fournette, the rookie running back that they have, that they said they're going to feed like crazy. But I don't care. I want guys that are good on good offensive teams. I don't want guys that are going to be on an offense that goes 3 and out 4 times in a row. Then you're sitting there and you're worried because your guys aren't playing well. They're not getting the points that you need from them. You're talking 1st, 2nd, 3rd round picks. You want guys that are safe, that are going to get you production consistently on a week-to-week basis. So you want these guys that I'm talking about. Dez Bryant, Amari Cooper, Brandon Cooks. Some might say New England, he's got to learn the system. We don't know if he's going to be good. There's a lot of weapons in New England. Agreed, there are. But it's Tom Brady. It's New England. He's the number 1 wide receiver. New England hasn't really had a really great wide receiver like this since Randy Moss. And we all know what happened when Randy Moss came to New England. He broke records with Tom Brady, unbelievable year. I actually had him that year and went to the ship, but I lost to Allen Columbano. Allen, you're out there. I know you had Brady. I had Moss. That was a 6 showdown. I'm still bitter about it. But let's move on. Brandon Cooks, wide receiver 1. Solid. The only thing is, in PPR, probably not going to get 90 catches like an Amari Cooper or a Dez Bryant might, but he's going to get you 70 to 80. He's going to get you yardage because he flies. He's one of the fastest guys in the league. He's a smaller guy, so he's not as big of a red toe target, but he is a primary elite wide receiver. And guys like Rob Gronkowski on that team, you got Julian Edelman. Once again, Julian Edelman's a complimentary piece. He's older now. He's a slot guy. He's like a Jamison Crowder. He's going to get catches. The guy you can almost bank on 95 to 100 catches. Guaranteed. But he doesn't get touchdowns. He's smaller. Cooks, I think, will get more touchdowns and a lot more yardage than Edelman. Gronk is obviously the red zone target on that team. And this is why I like Cooper better than Cooks. Because Cooper is should be the red zone target, the every target. Everything, every down. Even though Crabtree will steal some. In New England, Gronk is the guy. So, you really want to make sure you get a guy that's going to get you everything you can in these early rounds. But Cooks is still safe. He's still an important piece. And Gronk is probably going to get hurt a couple of games here and there. He always gets hurt. So you want guys like that. Like I said, Doug Baldwin, Devontae Adams, these guys are safe picks to get numbers because of their quarterbacks, because of their offenses. Demaryius Thomas does it every year, gets the catches, but I drop him a little lower because the touchdowns haven't been there the past couple of years. 5 or 6 in the past few years isn't enough to be a wide receiver 1. I like Demaryius Thomas as a wide receiver 2. I'd take him, maybe in the 3rd round. I like Terrell Pryor a lot. Like I said, I think he'll get the touchdowns. Then you got guys like Alshon Jeffrey, Keenan Allen, the Michael Crabtree, Sammy Watkins, who just moved to Los Angeles, to the Los Angeles Rams, which don't even get me started with that because, I'll end up flipping out again like I did last week. So, I don't even want to talk about it. But Watkins is a guy that can be an elite wide receiver. He's just with Goff and in the Rams offense. You got to drop him down your board. I mean, he's not going to be the guy you might have thought he'd been in Buffalo, but and he also obviously gets hurt a lot. So you don't want to bank on these guys. Those guys are more of the 3rd, 4th round tier of guys. But recap real quick before we end this. And thanks for tuning in, guys. Tune in every week. I'll be here every Saturday. And, before football Sundays. Breakdown of the first round real quick. Like I said, Antonio Brown, Odell Beckham, Julio Jones, the top 3. Then you got Mike Evans, 4. You got, to me, Jordy Nelson, 5. Michael Thomas, 6. A.J. Green, 7. These guys are the top 7 safe picks, first-round picks right here. Then I would go Cooper, 8. Des Bryant, 9. Doug Baldwin, Brandon Cooks, 10. And then you could go Doug Baldwin, Devontae Adams. You could go DeAndre Hopkins there. You could do a lot of different things at that point. But like I said, when you drift these wide receivers, go with the safe guys. Go with the guys who've been doing it. Go with the guys with the pedigree. Go with the guys who have the quarterback and the offense that is efficient, that'll get you points consistently. And the guys that don't have as much of an injury history, like Cooper and Michael Thomas. And then drop these other guys like Allen Robinson, Alshon Jeffrey with his injury history, Philadelphia, Carson Wentz. We don't know exactly what we're going to get from him. Drop these guys down your board a little bit. Try to get the safest picks. I know sometimes you want to go with the super high upside, but a lot of these guys still have super high upside in this first round. You're talking about high-end wide receivers. I know a lot of you guys think that wide receiver is a very deep position, too. And agreed, it is a deep position. So I can understand why you might want to go, running back in the first 2 rounds. It makes sense, but there's elite level wide receivers in this top 10 of wide receiver class, top 12, that you can get that will make you win championships, make you win multiple weeks, put up 40, 45 points in fantasy. Some of these running backs in the late first round, early second round, like Todd Gurley or Jordan Howard and DeMarco Murray, they have question marks with them. DeMarco Murray has a lot of tread on his tires. We don't know what he's going to do. Derrick Henry is breathing down his neck to come in and take touches, even though that's a very good team to have a running back on. Melvin Gordon, another guy, averaged 3.9 yards a carry last year. That's not good. 4.4, 4.3, 4.5. Those are good yards per carry touches. 3.9 is not. Yet he still had a lot of touchdowns, and that's what made him do well last year. And obviously people think he's going to grow and do better, but it's not like these guys are safe picks. These guys are not safe by any means. They might be safer than the other running backs down the line, but if you're really worried about that, take these elite wide receivers, grab these safe guys that with the high upside, with high floors and high ceilings, take them. Don't worry about your running backs. Get them in the 3rd, 4th, 5th round, whatever you want to do. Stack them up. I'm going to go rounds 4, 5, 6, 7 running back across the board. Get 4 running backs. 2 of them are going to end up producing for you at a decent level. You don't want to get one of these guys like maybe even Jordan Howard. I know he had a great year. He might be a bust. You don't know. He's on the Chicago Bears. His team's offense might be terrible. Mike Glennon is the quarterback. They might have to go to Mitchell Trubisky, who's a rookie, still learning the system. I mean, it could be a disaster for Jordan Howard. You might have some weeks where he puts up 5 points. You don't want that from your 1st and 2nd round picks. You want guys that are going to give you at least 15 points, 13 points every week at least, and possibly get you 40. I mean, obviously these guys can possibly get you 40, Jordan Howard, DeMarco Murray, but there's going to be weeks there where they only give you 10, and you don't want that out of your first round pick. So once again, guys, thanks for tuning in. I appreciate you, watching the show. If you really want to win some money, you want to do good in fantasy this year, listen to the analyst, listen to your boy, listen to what he has to say. Wide receivers, very safe in those rounds. I know what I'm talking about. I've been doing a lot of research all summer. Trust me on this one. And we'll bring it back next week. You'll hear us on Bridgeside Sports Live every Monday night at 9 p.m. I'll be here every Saturday afternoon for about a half hour, which this was. I appreciate you guys tuning in, and I'll see you next week, or I'll see you Monday. Good luck. Your boy's out.